Okay. I think we're live. Hello everybody! Happy Easter! Welcome to the stream. My name is the Pumpkin Queen, and I welcome you to the castle. And my dumb ass absolutely didn't shut the... Ah, damn it. I have my phone in front of me just in case. You know, so I can keep track of the chat. Now you know more of the magic. Ah, yeah. How do I enter the chat again? Ta-da, da-da, da-da, da-da. Well, my dumbass has no idea. So, I am going to be grabbing the link again. In the meantime, how's everyone doing? Has everyone a lovely Easter in the meantime? De eigenaar van deze video heeft toegang verleend. I'm pretty sure the stream is not on private mode. Refresh the chat. Something went wrong. Oh, that is nice. That's always fun. Privacy. The details. Can we not put this on private mode, please, YouTube? That is absolutely bullshit. Well, I am sure it should be working now. I hope. Does it? Yes! Okay, I am very sorry for every headphone user that I just gave a jump scare. If anyone was even in the chat. Oh, damn. I probably have to do the intro again because no one was watching and the whole stream was on private mode. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the castle. My name is Pumpkin Queen. Per usual, it is an absolute chaos here, but you know, that is absolutely fine. Happy Easter, everyone. How's everyone's weekend so far? Mine, as you can understand already, is an absolute chaos. Otherwise, I wouldn't have forgotten to put the chat on. Well, in Dutch we call it openbaar, for the public. Ah, dumbass! Yep, here we go. Not gonna mess this up even further. Today we're going to be narrating the second part of Papa Grande Orgins story. In the past I have narrated the magic show of hell, if I am correct, and the first part of his origin story, which are both by mystical sorcery. I'm going to be switching to the third screen, so you'll be seeing their Twitter account. Please go give them a follow. They're amazing, they're a really good writer. So big shout out to them. Yeah, please go and follow them. Their art is also really good. I haven't liked this one yet. Well, that is a shame. I'm using that one for the thumbnail. Oops. So yeah, go give them a follow, give them some love. for their amazing stories, because the past stories that I have narrated from them have gotten a lot of love as well, so please give this one just the same amount of love as well. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? Papa Grande's Origin, Part 2. August 2nd, 1976. Age 23. 3 p.m. It had been about 13 years since Grande first received the title of official magician. Throughout the years, he had improved greatly with his work, especially around his teenage years, where he had received many titles, the main title being Papa Grande di Magico. Not only did he receive that title, but he also ended up becoming an icon to the theme park. Grande knew that his life was becoming successful, and his dream did come true. He became a special figure in magic. From a small kid to a young man, he never did fail to surprise and amaze his audience. Saws, swords, levitation and more. He had it mastered and wrapped inside of his brain with chains. This is what he loved, and this is what he wanted to remain. A magician, for life was a goal. As the actress adjusted his outfit, his gloved hand moved towards his prized black top hat. He cleared his throat. "Thank you. This should do." He spoke, the actresses letting go of his outfit. As he placed the hat on, he could hear them, the audience. Every single audience member seemed to cheer for him excitedly. This was something he loved the most about his job, hearing the excitement for him. The cheering encouraged him greatly, made him know he's doing an amazing job, and that he is still going strong. He shut his brown eyes, hearing the encounter come from the speakers. "You all know him, his magic, his skills. Now introducing Papa Grande di Magico!" And with that, the whole room burst into cheers. Grande quickly appeared from behind the curtains, opening his eyes, his arm out to the sides. All around him were kids, teenagers, and adults, as old as himself. Of course, as expected, a light from above shined on his form. He quickly moved his hat from his head, doing a bow for them, all before standing straight. "Hello, my dear audience," he started, walk around the stage, a smile on his face. "I have a wonderful show for you all today. Tell me, how many of you have been at my magic shows before?" he asked, watching some audience members raise their hands. "Ah, so we have some new arrivals, eh? Well, welcome to the show." He raised his hands up and flicked his wrist, doves coming out from inside, making the audience clap in awe. He quickly turned around as they cheered, gesturing for the actress to come out and join him. This was his moment, right here and now. As the actress brought out the props, he cleared his throat. "Now," he slowly helped roll the rectangular box out. "This trick is a true shock, my audience. First, my dear actress, must join me." With a reach of his hand, the actress gripped hold. Grande then led her to the box, opening it for her to get into. "Now, can someone name the trick I'm about to do?" he asked. Of course, one of the audience members caught his attention. "The half-woman!" they said, smiling. Grande gave a nod, and then watched the actress carry a hacksaw to him. The audience gasped, surprised at the sharpness of it all. "No fear, audience!" He gently took it, lifting it to the middle of the box. This trick was one he was most famous for. It often dropped the audience into panic-type state, just for them to come to a surprising realization of the actress being okay. Grande, not wasting any time, began to cut her in half with haste. The actress moved her feet around, appearing to be cut in half as time went on. The audience emitted horrified gasps, fearing for the future of the actress, until the box was separated in half. Grande then posed, the actress' feet still moving, a smile on his face. The audience erupted in laughter and claps. "That's not all, audience!" He then clicked his fingers, making glitter go out the box, followed by the hacksaw lifting on its own. Grande later pushed the actress back together, opening it to reveal the actress as a whole person once more. Along with the clapping, Grande felt as pleased as can be. This was a major moment. The finale of a trick gave him shivers up his spine. He bowed once more, his eyes shut. His whole show seemed to dazzle and amaze everyone inside of the building. Trick after trick after trick. All seemed to work amazingly, to the point that the whole place appeared full of guests. 4 p.m. He could feel the show slowly coming to a close, with only one last trick left. The final trick. He would always go and volunteer up for. It was always fun, time for the audience. But he did fear messing up, especially since the person isn't experienced like the actress. "Now, my guest, it is time for one more. I must ask for a volunteer," he announced, his eyes scanning the crowd. That's when something happened. He appeared to freeze in place, the black-haired female who stood in the back. Her sky-blue eyes seemed to pierce into his heart, gripping hold with a force. Her black locks covered some of her face, and her white dress looked perfect on her form. He swallowed slightly. His feeling was quite new to this man. He had never seen someone as beautiful as her. Next to her, her friend had forced her hand up for Grande to see. "He's looking at you, Melanie," her friend giggled, keeping Melanie's hand up. The crowd quietly, in anticipation. That name, it seemed to roll right off his tongue. "Melanie, right?" he asked directly into the microphone. "Come on stage. You raised your hand." He gave her a smile. Melanie's face reddened, and she gave her friend a look. I don't know. She rose her hand for me." "Melanie, come on!" Her friend shook her. "Go on, up!" Her friend smiled. Melanie, looking into Grande's brown orbs, slowly placed her purse onto her friend's lap. "Okay, I'll do it," she nervously spoke. The crowd then started to clap as she made her way towards the stage. Grande's mouth seemed to twist into a larger smile as she walked up to the stage, going next to him. Melanie's face was red, very red, and her eyes appeared to move left and right. She was new to this, and Grande could tell that. "Don't be nervous, Melanie," he assured, whispering. "Everything will be okay." Melanie gave him a nod, taking a deep breath. "What do I have to do?" she questioned, watching an actress take out a tank full of water and a cover. "I need you to lock me in, pull the covers over the tank, and then watch the magic happen," he replied, receiving a gasp from her lips. "But won't that drown you?" she asked. With a shake of the head, Grande handed her the key to the lock and made his way inside the tank. Water flowed out as he stepped inside, sinking under the water with one deep breath. Melanie then locked the lid shut, throwing the cover over the whole tank. She stepped back, just as nervous as the rest of the crowd. Minutes seemed to pass in a matter of seconds, and she took the cover off, just to gasp. Grande was gone, completely vanished from the tank. She covered her mouth, amazed and confused. That's when two wet hands grabbed her shoulders. The crowd went wild. She turned and saw the soaked man. "How did you do that? That was..." She stuttered, looking back at the tank, then at him. Grande, noticing her response, laughed slightly. "It was all magic," he answered, the actresses clapping as well. Melanie was in a sense of shock, watching as Grande bowed in front of the audience. "Thank you all for coming to my show. Give a round of applause for Melanie as well for volunteering," he finished, placing his hat on his head. She lowered her head, face getting more red as the audience turned their attention to her, all clapping as she made her way off the stage. She lowered her head. Oh, I just read that. As the lights dimmed down, Grande quickly disappeared behind the closing curtains. Feeling satisfied from yet another good show, the actresses all smiled at him, and he gave them a chuckle. "You all did really well. You're dismissed for the day," he informed, walking to his room to change out of the soaked clothing. The sound of feet exiting the building made Grande feel confident, knowing they enjoyed the show as much as before, and would leave feeling that way. He couldn't deny this show was one of his favorites, and only because of that girl. 6 p.m. 2 hours had passed since the show ended. Around this time, Grande carefully ventured around the theme park he called home. His magician apparel was clear off, allowing him to be Grande Alexander Willow once more. Occasionally, as he walked around, he would be greeted by excited fans. This was one of his favorite times, the aftermath of his shows. As he continued to move down the dirt trail, he could only ponder on what the girl from before was doing. His brown orb slowly traveled around the multiple shops just to see the black curly hair from before. It was her, Melanie. He could feel his heartbeat in his chest, while his brain started to gain thoughts. "Come on, Willow, talk to the girl," he told himself, gaining composure. With adjustment of his clothes, he slowly walked up behind her, his hand going up to her shoulder. "Hello, Melanie," correct?" he asked her, sliding his hands into his pockets. With a turn of her body, Melanie's eyes met his own. She appeared to be surprised, yet kept her stance. "Yes? Oh, you're the magician. Papa Grande, right?" "Yes, but please call me Grande," he replied. "Papa Grande is only my stage name." "Oh, well, thank you for earlier, Grande." She gave him a soft smile. "I hope that I didn't seem too awkward up there." "Awkward? No, you were absolutely fine," he assured. "That was perfectly normal for a volunteer. No need to worry," he explained, looking at her. "Have you been enjoying your time at the theme park?" "Yes, I've been enjoying my time. But can I ask you something?" She started to walk away from the shop tent, Grande walking beside her. This was his moment, one in which he could have a great conversation with this girl. "Why, of course you can, Melanie. I'll happily answer anything for you," he said, wanting to continue the conversation. "Well, how did you do that trick?" She placed her hands together. "I mean, it scared me, and how you got out is a mystery to me." Grande could only chuckle. Of course, it was his own trick. He couldn't give his tricks away to anyone, not even her. A magician's secret, that's what he could kept repeating in his head since he was little. "Well, that's the point of magic. You couldn't find out," he answered. "It's all up to the audience to think up what I did." Melanie, feeling more comfortable with him, could only nod. "So, I'm guessing you've done magic for a long time then?" "Well, ever since I was a small lad," he said. It was a while after I moved to America. It started just to become a major hobby to me, and a big focus for me. Her blue eyes looked into his own. "So, you made that hobby your job? Pretty impressive. Especially since you're so good at it," she giggled. "Also, you aren't from America? I kinda thought that, because you have a pretty strong accent." She moved over to a nearby bench, sitting down with a person to his side. Grande, following her lead, took a seat next to her. He put his hands together on his legs, leaning forward a bit. "I suppose I do have quite a strong accent. As for I am from Italy. I moved here from the age of 5, and my passion became my official job at the age of 10. Her eyes widened in surprise. 10! You became an official magician at the age of 10! She laughed a bit. "Well, that's the first I've heard that." She gently nudged him. "When I was that age, I was too busy helping my family out and going to school," she said, frowning a bit. She took a great notice in the sudden frown and nudged her back. "I don't wish to ask about your personal life, but why the frown?" "Oh, well, it's okay. I can't tell. You see, my family and I struggled greatly in the past, mainly with a major lack of money. I had to help support them at a very young age, even going to the point where I had to sell my art." "Ah, I see. So you had your own experiences," he sighs. "Well, at least everything turned out good, yes?" Melanie perked her head. Everything turned out good in the end. Though I'm still working as an artist. just in case my parents need some money. I hardly ever get out because of it. But luckily Jaylin took me here, just to rest a bit, she continued. You have a really nice theme park, Grande? Grande's eyes shut halfway, smiling more. I'm glad that you're enjoying your time. It does sound like you needed some time away. He stands holding his hand out. Now, how about I go and get you something as a reward for that? A red tint slowly appeared on her cheeks. You don't have to spend any money on me, Grande. She slowly placed her hand on his own. I can buy things for myself. His smile remained on his face. Well, I am. This is a reward for not only being my volunteer, but also being a wonderful daughter to your parents. He helped her up to her feet, his face also a red tint. Come, let's get us something to eat. Oh, this is such a cute story. 9 p.m. After being together for hours on end, the both of them slowly started to feel closer to each other. From eating together to chatting, it seemed to spark a friendship which brought them from mere strangers to someone they could both rely on. As Grande walked down the trail with her once again, Melanie could only frown slightly. She saw her friend signaling it was time to go. She turned to Grande, grabbing his hands. Thank you for all of this. If you don't mind, could I come down more? Of course you can, Melanie. I'd love to see you more. He grabbed a hold of her hands in return. I'd be here all the time, he explained. Would you perhaps like my number? Melanie's smile grew back. Yes, that would be delightful. I never had this much fun in a long time, she admitted. Here, I'll give you mine. And with that, she dug into her purse for something to write on. As she found something, the both of them exchanged numbers. And this was part of his life, which he could never forget. He would never forget the day they met, the time they spent together. Her smile seemed to give Grande life, an amazing feeling which he felt like losing, which he never felt like losing. This friendship, through his eyes, will last a lifetime and never end. August 2nd, 1980, age 27. 10 p.m. Many years had passed since they both met in 1976. The way they once saw each other changed from a friendship to love in a matter of a year. Each year, their love would only grow stronger, to the point where Grande decided to do something very important. Grande knew that he was ready to make a life-changing decision as he drove up to the hill with Melanie, who was leaning her head on his shoulder. Love, where are we going? She yawned. It's kind of late. He could only keep a smile on his face, his free hand inside of his pocket, touching a special object inside. He slowly pushed on the brakes. Coming to a stop at the very top of the hill, he leaned back, opening his door. I'll be right over, my love. He exited the vehicle, leaving Melanie very confused. She leaned up on her seat as Grande walked over, opening the door for her. His brown eyes looked at her with love. He held out his hand, helping her out of the vehicle, just to pull her close. His eyes were shut halfway, pushing herself closer. What are we doing here, Mr. Willow? She asked into his ear. I'm curious, she continued. Grande, hearing the tone of her voice, bit his lip in a nervous fashion. Well, I brought us here today for a very important reason, Melanie Grella Summers, he whispered, holding the object inside of his pocket. What reason is Mr. Willow? She questioned, her eyes watching him. He grabbed her hand and softly kissing it before holding it tight. At a single moment of hesitation, Grande slowly lowered himself down on one knee, making Melanie's eyes widen. Grande, she started, covering her mouth with one hand. Grande knew that this was the right moment, the moment where he could finally just make her his. He looked up into her eyes. Melanie Grella Summers, I remember the first day we met. I remember all the fun times which we had together, and I remember how we first kissed at this very spot. You fill me up with a sort of happiness, many of which is just by being around you. You have a heart which is pure, and our love is something which shows this. I want to feel happy with you by my side. Now I ask, Melanie Grella Summers, will you marry me? He asked, holding up the diamond ring for her to see. Her heart seemed to melt along with her whole body in a whirl of emotions. Grande saw this as she started to cry heavily, tearing going down with her face in a rush. Yes, Grande Alexander Willow, I will marry you, she cried. Her eyes filled with tears as she stood, placing the ring onto her finger gently. Melanie wrapped her arms around his form, kissing him deeply with all the love in her heart. This was their time, and the most important moment of Grande's life. August 13th, 1981, age 28. I don't know if you guys can hear it in my voice, but I'm having a very hard time keeping a straight face and not having an enormous smile, because I think this story is so enormously cute. In the meantime, hi everyone. Let's see who is in the chat. Hi Azazel, welcome. I hope you're having a fun time. Hi Mystical Sorcery. Glad you can made it to your narration of your own story. I hope you're liking it. I'm glad that you're liking the story. I love it. I absolutely do. Oh, I wish I would have started narrating it sooner. Oh, it's so adorable. I don't read a lot of love stories, so it's great. Ah, damn. I can see it in your avatar. I'm loving it. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I figured as much that my avatar had a huge smile. Yeah. I'm sorry in advance. Why are you sorry for? What are you sorry for? I'm enjoying this. You did great with writing it. I know it is a horror story and that I shouldn't enjoy it for too long because there's probably going to be something horrible happening in the end. The magic show of hell was absolutely fantastic, so I'm very curious how this Grande is going to turn into the Grande that I know from the magic show of hell. I am sorry, oh my god. What am I going to read? Is it already in this part or the next one? Ooh. Okay. Let's go. 12 p.m. Yes, Pumpkin, you should probably continue narrating instead of wondering what is going to happen. I am very sorry. Thank you. Well, chapter 3 is the one where he snaps. Okay. Ah! Well, then I'm very curious to chapter 3. Good. I'm very curious. Everything seemed to be going well as time continued on. Melanie had gotten married to Grande, and eventually held his child as well. Both expressed their love to each other, each day, becoming almost inseparable. Becoming almost inseparable, as they remained tied together with rings. He simply loved her, to be deepest part of his heart, as she loved him the same way. Grande's arms wrapped her form, his hands touching her growing stomach with soft strokes. I love you, he whispered into her ear. I love the both of you, he hummed, receiving a nudge from Melanie. Oh really, Mr. Willow? Is that what you think? She joked, touching his hand softly. He grew a grin. Yeah, that is what I believe, he replied, kissing her cheek. Melanie, feeling odd, looked back at the food she was making. I'm glad to hear that, Grande. I'm glad that I have both of you. Her head throbbed a bit, making her flinch. Are you feeling better, my dove? Grande asked, noticing her gaze and the way she flinched. Melanie? He questioned. Suddenly, she slowly started to fall back, causing Grande to grab a hold of her thigh. Tight, not thigh. I really thought that's a weird part to grab onto. Dyslexia. His eyes widening. The knife dropped to the floor. Melanie's eyes shut halfway, almost appearing weak. Not again, he panicked. Melanie, I'm taking you to the hospital, he said, picking her up into his arms. She appeared to fall unconsciously. Sometimes it became a full-on blackout. This had Grande concerned, and no matter how much he insisted on taking her to the hospital, she had refused. This was his final straw, and the last time he would watch his wife fall like this. Melanie could only look into his eyes, about to protest. Grande, I'm fine, Melanie, you're not fine. This is becoming a constant event. The least we could do is get you checked out, he told her, not taking no for an answer. 3 p.m. Hours of waiting, hours of wondering. Grande waited outside of the hospital for the news. He appeared to sweat, panic at the great amount of time that everything was taking. He walked up to the main desk. Are they almost done? He asked, his eyes full of worry. The lady frowned at him. They should be done any minute now, Mr. Willow. Deep breaths. She told him. Grande's eyes lowered. His heart ached. Everything inside of him ached for his worry. He wanted to know the news. He wanted to hear if she was okay. He wanted her safe in his arms, but time just kept continuing. The sudden sound of the door opening caught his attention as he saw the doctors walk out. With hesitation he walked up to him, tears filling his eyes. Is my wife okay? Please, tell me! He shook, the doctor's expression saddened. As soon as Grande saw that expression on his face, his body tensed up. What? Tell me! What's wrong with her? He started to raise his voice. Please, tell me! He choked, his throat tight. The doctor lowered his head, looking at his clipboard. Grande Willow, I'm saddened to inform that your wife... He started, noticing Grande's expression contort. My wife? Please, tell me, please. He started to beg, feeling his body sink. Please, tell me. The doctor placed the clipboard nearby and touched his shoulders. She's dying from glioblastoma multiforme. What does that mean? Grande shouted, getting emotionally furious. I want to know, goddammit! Your wife has a brain tumor, one which has spread to become cancerous. Your wife is too far in it. I am sorry, Mr. Willow, but your wife might have only a short while to live. The whole world seemed to freeze for Grande, his legs slowly going numb. Short while, too? He tried to speak. She... What about... Due to the current state of this cancer, we are also saddened to inform that the baby will be removed. Removed? He choked out, tears starting to travel down his cheeks slowly, hitting the ground. This didn't feel real to him. He didn't want this to be real. It was too sudden. Just yesterday, they had been together, both sitting and talking about their future. They both planned to move to Italy, to grow old, and move and have a family. That was their future, which they will lose. His fists became tight, his emotions running wild. Let me see her! He shook, wiping his tears with his arm. Let me see my wife! Right now! He demanded, his eyes staring at the doctor's emotional. The doctor looked at the clipboard, then at him. Mr. Willow, let me see her! Damn you! He started harassingly, staring at the doctor. If she can pass away at any damn time, I need to see her! I need to! Even if I have to force my way in! Mr. Willow, calm down. if you'll see her. Just calm down, he told him, raising a hand up, hoping to settle him down. I know this is a very hard event to progress. I know how much you love her, he frowned. But please, calm down. He placed his clipboard under his arm. Grande's emotions just continued to turn, his eyes filling up with more tears. Right now, take me to her. Right now, he demanded yet again, walking to the double doors. Open the damn doors and let me see my wife. The doctor, noticing his shifting emotions, quickly walked over, opening them for him. She's to the left, 4 rooms down, he explained. As his eyes looked at the long hallway, it seemed like chains were wrapped around him, keeping him still. The doctors looked at him, very confused. Mr. Willow? Without a response, Grande started to walk forward. His eyes glanced without the numbers. His attention was caught by loud cries, belonging to Melanie herself. With a sunken feeling, he gripped the handle of the door, wiping his face with his sleeve. What do you mean? Don't take my baby, please! There has to be another way! She cried, talking to the nurse. There is no way we can, Mr. Willow. The baby is too far premature to be helped. Its bones are still forming. Without you, it wouldn't last a single minute, the nurse replied. No, this baby is all we have left. He won't have the baby either, Mrs. Willow. I'm so very sorry. They talked. Grande's heart only continued to sink, his eyes becoming red from his tears. He silently opened the door, seeing Melanie's red face and her form a sobbing mess. I don't want to die. Please, I can't be that bad, she cried. Please, this doesn't seem real. What will Grande do? He walked inside, closing the door behind him. Melanie's head turned towards him, her eyes as bloodshot as his. Her black curls were messy, and her beautiful clothes were replaced with blue hospital dress. Her makeup looked smeared, and her skin was as pale as the snow. She looked down, shaking greatly. Grande, she said. Grande, Grande slowly started to walk up to her, processing the talking between her and the nurse. Melanie, he touched her left hand. Melanie, I'm here now, he told her, sitting down on a chair next to the bed. The nurse looked over the both of them. I will leave the both of you alone, she whispered, sensing the emotional presence of them both. As soon as the nurse left, Melanie broke down into tears, covering her face up with her 2 hands. Grande, she cried out, making Grande's heart shatter into pieces. He leaned in and hugged her tightly, tugging his face against her neck. I'm here, Dove, he whispered, unable to raise his voice without breaking down more. Seeing Melanie like this filled him with sorrow. His eyes looked over at the heart monitor, body feeling numb. He softly pulled away and cupped his soaked cheeks in his palm. Look at me, Melanie, he said, trying to calm her. Look at me, he repeated, his hands shaking slightly. Her eyes turned back into his own, bloodshot and weak. Ah, baby, grande, mi grande, she sobbed. Grande's gaze lowered, and he kept her close. Melanie, my dove, I wish I could do something. I feel so useless, he replied, his grip tightening more. We had our whole future planned out, our whole life ahead of us. His voice started to become shaky once again. But now, this is happening. I don't know what I will do, Melanie, without you by my side. You... He couldn't continue, as he started to break down into a sobbing mess. 9 p.m. As the day turned to night, he remained in the chair, right next to Melanie. His eyes were sore, as was Melanie's, as she stared at TV in silence. They were both broken. The silence could easily make anyone tell. This was so unexpected. Their life turned upside down like a roller coaster. It was a disaster. His hands remained entwined with her own. Kleenexes were all around the floor from his previous emotional breakdown. Melanie's voice suddenly broke the silence. Grande? Melanie said, trying to get his attention. Yes, Melanie? He asked, his voice sounding as monotone as her own. Thank you. The silence came once again. Not even a single word was spoken. Seconds passed, and he rubbed her wedding ring, making her talk shakingly. Thank you for everything, Grande. You made my life so good. I had so much fun the day we met, and during our first date. She spoke, trying not to break down once more. The night you proposed to me made me feel like the luckiest girl on the planet. She felt Grande's thumb rub the top of her hand. You're a great man, Grande. Such a big heart and a fantastic personality. Which is why, once I pass, I want you to continue, Grande. Continue on? He questioned, his gaze still low. How the hell can I continue on? I love you far too much for that. Hun, you could have a whole life which you could shift without me. A single tear started to drown her cheek. You have a whole life. Grande, seeing the tear, grew a very large frown. He moved his gaze into hers. I cannot. All I have after you is magic. Moving on isn't an option, my dove. I refuse to even find another, even after you. He couldn't even continue his sentence. I refuse to find another, he concluded, kissing her hand. Grande, you know this is the truth, Melanie. You are the girl which made my life complete. No other girl could ever replace you, or made me feel the same as you did, he said. I love you so much, Melanie Grella Summers. I love you too, Grande Alexander Willow. She started to sob once more. I I love you too. Sorry. I just take one look at my phone while reading this, and all I see is I'm in danger. Damn it. Oh my god. Why is she at the dino? Oh no! I know it's for the setting, and I'm not reading a normal book. Oh no! You know I'm tearing up too, right? Like characters. Oh, this is so sad. Alexa played Despacito. Oh no! Oh. Hey! Mosquito! Right on time! Time to cry! Oh. How's everyone doing? I see more people in the chat. Nikki Lammers, hey girl, how are you? It's a very emotional read. So there is that. Oh. There's no mercy for this pumpkin today. Phew. No. Phew. Small break in between. Phew. I'm doing alright. I have stuff packed for tomorrow for a photo shoot. For the people who don't know yet, I recently revealed my face, and there's a whole video on that. I've also done a live stream in cosplay, since I do cosplay, so that is where the photo shoot will be for. And it will be with original characters. So you'll be seeing some really cool photos with Luann and Celestia coming up very soon. I'll be going to Germany for those pictures. I'm very, very excited for that. The shoot will take place somewhere in Essen. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I am very excited. It's a big studio, and every room they have things. Well, every room is different, with a different theme, so you can go all out on it. So there's a bedroom if you want those kind of cute pictures for that aesthetic, for cute kawaii stuff. One that looks like the Middle East, one that's a bit Japanese. They have a new room with stars and a lot of organza hanged up, so it looks like the night sky. That's where I'm going to be taking pictures as Celestia. And they had a room with a throne and a bookshelf background, which is really cute. And I was planning on taking pictures in that room for Luann, since she is a writer, mainly in the gothic scene, and it will perfectly fit for the whole aesthetic as vampire and stuff. So I think that'd be super cool. But yeah, that. I'm very excited. Everything's packed, and yeah. That? Let's see. Hello, sad squish hours. That's why it's a good idea to take a small break now. Hydrate. Oh. I always keep forgetting that in horror stories people die, even the fun characters. Usually, you shouldn't get too attached to the characters. Hello, Pinterest. Don't do that. Thank you. Don't know if you saw that on stream too, but that was I think a knitting pattern of Journey, which is a video game I really like. I haven't made that, but I did save it at some point. Don't know what I'm going to be using it for, if I'm even going to be knitting. I haven't done that since I was 8 years old, so there's that. I do, on the other hand, have a cosplay from Journey, which was my very first cosplay I've ever made by hand. So, yeah. Water. Stay hydrated, people. Don't forget to sip your water. Coming from your plant's friend. But yeah, that's the plan. Also finished another cosplay this weekend, which is Haiyan Park. That is a character from a webtoon. I don't expect anyone to know the character, but it is from Unholy Blood. So if you would be interested in reading webtoons, I would highly recommend that one. It's super cool. Also a romance with a whole lot of action and vampires and a little bit of detective stuff, but you know, it's fun. Alright, let's see. August 15th. How far are we into the... Oh, we're almost finished! Okay! Oh. Well then everyone, then I'm going to do the last part in one last sit. Before we're going to be, well, talking a little bit more and chatting. August 15th, 1981. 6 p.m. 2 days had passed since Grande last saw Melanie. Since she was placed for removal for the baby. His usual happiness seemed to fade, which became quite noticeable to his friends. As he sat in his car, he looked at the hospital with a sad frown. In his hand, he held a bouquet of flowers, all her favorite colors. The news he received became overwhelming, as Melanie had symptoms seemed to get worse. She appeared to become more confused, and her balance became somewhat awful. She couldn't barely even stand straight. It felt as if a ball was in his throat as he exited. It felt as if a ball was in his throat as he exited the vehicle, walking through the doors with a bouquet close to himself. He made it way up to the front desk. Melanie, Grella, Willow. Go up to the elevator and take the left. She's in room 125, she said to him, returning to her book. With a sigh, he made his way towards the elevator. The bouquet of flowers held to his chest. I'm coming, Melanie, he told himself, fleeing the elevator. Soon enough, the door slid open, revealing an even longer hallway. He was tough, or at least trying to be. He had suffered so much emotionally in the last few days. All he could think about was her. He wanted to see her again. And after 2 days of resting, he hadn't spoken to her. Door by door he continued to walk, 123, 124, he counted, stopping at 125. He could hear the TV inside, following by a weak laugh. "Melanie, my dove?" he said, moving herself inside the room. Almost immediately, Melanie's tired, weak form looked at him. Her appearance was that of an ill person. Her once clear eyes had tired bags underneath, along with her hair, which was oily and messy. Grande formed a smile, moving next to her bed with her flowers. "Grande," she said, her eyes squinting. "I missed you," she whispered. Raising her hand up to touch his face, he brought his hand up, putting it in her own. "I missed you too. My God, I did so much." He stroked her hand. "I'm here," he continued, his eyes appearing as emotionally as her own. "Grande, are those for me?" she asked, looking at the flowers, with a nod and soft kiss. He gently handed over the bouquet. "They are so beautiful," she whispered, smelling them. "Just like you, my dove." "Grande, thank you," she said, holding them closer to her. "I needed something like this." She started to tear up, especially after they removed. She stopped talking, tears traveling down her cheeks in a rush. Grande's eyes shut and leaned over to her, placing his head on his shoulder. "Our child will always be with us, Melanie." He could feel tears travel down his own. Melanie pushed her face into the covers, not looking at anyone. "Grande, I want to sleep," she told him. "Please, stay with me?" She shook. "I don't want to be alone. I want to know you're here." He gave her a quick nod, unable to speak from his growing emotions. He felt as if he was being choked, as if he couldn't breathe or he wouldn't break loose and cry loudly. "Good." Melanie shook once more, laying down onto her bed. With a flash, she shut the TV off, her eyes slowly shutting as she adjusted herself. Grande reached over, grabbing a bouquet from his sheets, sitting them on the table. It had shown him how scared she was. She was just as scared as he was, which was quite understandable. All he could do was make her feel comfortable. August 18th, 1981, 5 a.m. The days seemed to feel like years, especially as she continued to get worse. Grande's common happiness was hidden behind a cloud of sadness, appearing to never fade. He, a day ago, was forced to go home from the hospital due to his job which he desired to keep. Louis, who couldn't understand his pain, could not afford to let Grande miss too many days of work. Even so, Ricky, Grande's closest friend, couldn't even speak to Grande, as for he became too emotional to even talk to. Seeing Melanie in such a state appeared to weaken him physically and emotionally, but seeing her slowly dying like this, it made him sick. He wanted her to heal, wanted her to be back in his arms like before. He wanted to have a family, a future which they had planned out, but it all came in a matter of days. All that Grande could do was wait for the phone call. And sadly, he got one. His form remained on his bed, his face tucked into his pillow, seeming not budge an inch. Sleep was hard for him, especially since he knew at any time he would get more damaging news. His heart seemed to beat slowly inside of his chest. His eyes had dark bags, and his face appeared pale. He was struggling. Minutes seemed to pass before a loud ringing sound came from his phone, which was on his desk. With a groan, he lifted himself from his bed, walked over in a daze. "Hello?" He yawned, holding the phone to his ear. "Yes, this is Grande Willow. How's Melanie?" He seemed to freeze up like a statue. "What? No! No, not now!" His eyes grew to become widened, and his body became numb. "No! Listen, I need to..." He shook, unable to finish his sentence, dropping the phone to the ground. "No! No! No!" He covered his face. "No!" He darted over and quickly grabbed his keys. Melanie Grella Willow, aged 26, had passed away to cancer at 4:30 in the morning. Grande's mind seemed to spin as he ran to his car, still in his pajamas, not even caring enough to change his clothes. He wanted to see her, right now, dead or alive. He wanted to hug her one last time, kiss her one last time, and tell her goodbye one last time. 6 a.m. He was frozen in place as he stood outside of her room which was now quiet and void of life inside. "My dove." His face started to scrunch up as he gripped the metal handle, pushing the door open slowly with a saddened expression. As the door fully opened, there she was. Her eyes were shut, her hair just as messy. Her left hand was stretched over her stomach, as her right remained to her side. Her soft, rosy lips appeared a pale color, along with her skin which seemed to show that she had passed on. Grande, feeling sick to his stomach, walked over to the side of her bed, getting on his knees. "Melanie, please." He carefully gripped her cold hand in his own. "Melanie, oh my beautiful dove." He brought his stiff hand up, his tears falling from his eyes. "My dove, I'm so sorry." He softly gave a kiss to her hand. "I love you. I love you," he repeated, lowering his head onto his sheets. The nearby nurse frowned, looking from the room. "Mr. Willow?" she asked. "I'm so sorry for your loss." Grande couldn't reply to her, nor could he even think straight. He knew that this was coming, but he still wasn't ready deep down. His sadness slowly started to get worse, until he felt it turn to anger. He stood to his feet, his head still downwards. "Goodbye, my dove." And with that, Grande made his way towards the door, unable to even say one word to the nurse. This was a spark with a flame. A flame which could only slowly burn his sanity away. August 21st, 1981, 8 a.m. At this point in time, his heart was shattered, and his mind seemed twisted with loss. A single day had passed since the funeral, and Grande had to help with a casket. That once happy building seemed silent, with only the shows making him feel alive. Though, for Grande, the shows didn't feel the same. Every time he stood on the stage, he appeared to be like a zombie. His eyes were always saddened, and his voice was shaky, though he performed with the best effort he could. His boss, Louis, could understand, along with Melanie's friend, Jalen, who continued to go to Grande's shows. He was lost. His future had become scrambled. And every time he would look into his audience, he expected to see Melanie there. But she was gone. Gone like his love towards another woman. He vowed to be only with Melanie, so he had continued and pushed other girls away, only because he wanted to keep his promise. He is a widow, and he knew it ever since she passed on. Outside, about a mile down the road, Grande stood. His form stood directly in front of Melanie's beautiful white tombstone. He could remember her talking about how much she loved flowers, so he had placed flowers down each day. His form lowered onto his knees, his head leaning against the tombstone. "Melanie, I brought you flowers again," he explained. "Your favorite, roses. You always loved the white ones." The tombstone said, a single drop of rain landing on the stone surface. Grande's eyes moved upwards, looking towards the cloudy sky. "You always did, Melanie. I'll keep bringing flowers, I promise." He gave the tombstone a small kiss, standing to his feet with an umbrella. He slowly opened it up as the rain started to come down in large droplets. "The rain, you always loved that too." He grew a smile, starting to talk to himself. "Oh yes, you did so very much, Melanie. Yes, you did, Melanie." He shook. "You loved it so much. Yes, yes, you did love the rain so much. Right, Melanie?" That's when he caught himself and rubbed his face. He shook his head and whispered and wiped his falling tears. "Goodbye, my dove. I'll bring you more flowers tomorrow," he said, huskily, walking away from the tombstone with a frown. Oh damn, this was a sad one. He did an amazing job at writing it though. I'm very curious to what the third and last part of the origin story will bring. I'll make sure to narrate that next time. Now I'm very curious. Damn it, that was sad. For everyone who only just entered the live stream or just there, just here, I'm sorry. My mind is in scrambles too. Go follow the writer as well. Go support them. Their mystical sorcery on Twitter. Also here on DeviantArt. Can I click these? Yes, I can. They also have really great art. I really like it. So go check that out as well. So yeah. Let's go back here. If I'm correct, I should have just me and the chat on screen. Yep. Thank you. No problem. No problem. I love your stories. I really do. Damn. By the way, how's everyone doing? Do we have any plans for Easter? Because I told you guys my plans, of course. Which is a photo shoot tomorrow, which I'm very, excited for. But I want to hear you guys. What are you guys doing? The trauma! Look, we need trauma in order for a character to get... oh my god. to get character development. That's the thing. It's not nice to do that. I know, it's torturing your own characters. And I do that too with my original characters. And I have a really hard time writing characters without trauma. Because otherwise, how do you get that character development? And make them interesting enough for people to say, I like that, aside from the design. You know how difficult that is? To make a good character that is interesting enough without trauma. Just pointing off my original characters that I am currently working on, which are for, we were talking about cosplay. I can't shut the hell up about cosplay, so I won't. And those are currently Dr. Herb, Celestia, and Luann. For Dr. Herb, that was mainly her being forced to live in a more poor district because her mother had to do everything on her own and do all... carry the income and everything on her shoulders because her father was too sick. And because of his quirk, and Dr. Herb is a character based on the My Hero Academia fan base for people who are now like, what's a quirk? Are we quirky? Yes, yes, hell yes, Slay, we are quirky. Everyone's quirky here. People were too scared to actually treat him or, do something. And eventually becoming scared of the other members of the family as well. Due to that. Because his quirk was essentially him being able to talk with the undead. While Herb, or Mika, as her real name is, inherited her quirk from her mother, her superpowers, which is plant growth. And seeing a lot of people from the slums being actually good people, but being forced to go into this villainous mindset because they weren't being helped by anyone. the heroes that they needed just weren't there for them because, you know, they didn't win the lottery at their superhero powers. Because they didn't use it to become superheroes. They didn't want to, because not everybody has to. But society was too scared for them to actually want them to be part of something. And eventually give them jobs or a good study, and eventually having a lot of people who can't become part of a, well, you know, I can't talk today, who essentially just didn't finish the school, don't have a job, and have to steal to stay alive, which is unfair, but that's just how it is. Just because people are scared of their quirks and they don't want them to be part of their school or eventually workspace. And that is sad, and that is something that isn't really being addressed in My Hero Academia, and that is something that I am addressing with my character. And though Herb did win the lottery, she eventually started using her quirk for the wrong things, to gain that money, so she could heal and try to become a doctor so she could heal her father and the people who actually needed it, to become that hero that people just didn't have, the hero that the people of the slums needed, the people that would essentially become supervillains because they didn't get that help. And thus Mika, or Dr. Herb, becoming a villain herself and being somewhat, well, more in between a villain and a hero. And I won't spoil anything about that. I'm still writing the story and making TikToks with her as I'm writing the story, but that is the base of it. Aside from all the pain she has gone through to get her quirk to work, because it's plant growth, the only way to actually get it to grow is to use a shield budding technique. I don't know if you know how that works on trees and plants, but it would be very painful on a human body. You can look that up. It would not be fun. Don't recommend it. Sorcery. So, what did you think of the story? How did it make you feel, especially seeing Grande in his past? So the first part of the origin story with him as a kid, of course, becoming a magician at such a young age was great. It was actually a whole lot happier than most of the stories I narrate. That was very warm and nice, and seeing the second part, it immediately went downhill. It started off so cute, and I love it. It's really nice. But then we went down that road and we're like, oh no, there we go. No. Poor Grande. You did it well. Oh. I feel bad for Grande. Because we didn't know any about this, of course, when you read or listen to the Magic Show of Hell. Because then you just see a mad magician who, instead of actually doing the magic part, just cuts people up. You know, everyone that comes into the abandoned theme park. if I remembered it correctly, it was the abandoned theme park that those kids went into. And now seeing this, I slowly start to see the type of character that he is, and he's... Yeah, there's a reason to his madness, and I feel in the next spot that we are going to tap more into that. Because now we see the part that kind of slowly is pushing him into the man that he is, but I feel like we're going to have a new character maybe introduced, or maybe Lewis is going to push him into this, I don't know. I'm just going to play the guessing game. Lewis, of course, being his boss. But yeah, I'm very curious about who and what is going to happen. What is going to be the final snap, because we already see that he is very low on his mental health right now. And this is not going to be good for him in the long run if this is, you know... Damn. Damn, this makes me feel sad. It was a good story though, thank you for this. But yeah, I get the trauma thing. It's sometimes needed to make your characters grow a little. Especially if you want to get them to a certain point in the story without having to force them somewhere. There's also a point of the thing, if you force your character from point A to point B, it can look very weird. So I really don't mind throwing that into my own stories as well. So, you know, the character development, just take your time with it and let it flow till you get there. I know there are more roads to Rome, but it's fun to write out your character. And I see you have fun with it as well. Question: how did you feel when you were writing this? Because usually when I have to write a character that dies, it's part of the story. Now I'm going to be calling myself out, of course, but I had started writing Heartbreaker years ago. And one of the characters is... there are multiple characters who are going to die. And when I came to the point for writing chapter 4, my brain was like, yeah, I don't want Helena to die yet, but I have to. So I'm going to be putting this whole story on a pause and continue writing on Dream Reapers instead. And I still haven't put it onto paper. It's terrible. I should actually take the time to put it onto paper because it's been sitting there for too long. Yeah, that was a story I was working on about a serial killer in France that would essentially chop people's heads off and keep them as trophies in his room. The Headless Hunter, I'd call him. And our main character being a, how do you call it? Not a scout, someone who takes care of the forest. who makes sure that people don't get lost in it, make sure that it stays clean, that, you know, the flora and fauna are being taken care of, and that there aren't too many of one species in a certain year, because that can also ruin the forest. It's actually very interesting to read on to, because then you understand what a hunter's job is and why people hunt animals. It's not just for sport, it's also to keep the forest in balance. Because if you have too many bunnies walking around, it could wreck the plants. But if you have too many foxes walking around, you have a problem with that too, because then they don't have any food to eat, because there are not enough bunnies to eat, because there are too many foxes and not enough bunnies. Right? Sounds logical. I'm moving around a lot in my chair. Pardon if you hear weird noises. I was bawling. Yeah, I understand completely. It's really difficult to put something like that on paper. Yeah. I feel you. Oh, damn. Either way, I hope everyone enjoyed the story and enjoyed it as much as I did. I need some time to adjust. I'm going to take a snack downstairs. Oh man. Thank you guys for joining. It was absolutely amazing to see you all here. Yeah, if you guys want to see me narrate the last chapter, part 3, in the next stream, let me know. I also have another couple of stories that I am going to narrate as well. If you guys remember the story I narrated a couple months ago, which was the Alpha Syndicate, it is becoming a series of stories. Just so I can let you guys in on that as well. Because the first story was about the crocodile god, which was super cool. And that writer is now going to be working on more stories. And one was about a very endangered plant. So that's also a story that I will be narrating in the future. So, yeah. A lot of fun things planned. Very happy Easter, everyone. I'll be off. Thank you for joining my stream. Goodbye!